God said, "Let there be light." Eden, a home made by God for humankind, providing for their every need. The breath of perfect unity between God, humankind, and creation. The man and woman are unique. Out of all creatures, only they are created in the image of God. Only they are given the gift of choice. And with that gift, they choose to turn away from their responsibility to creation and to God. Humankind's once perfect unity with God, with creation, and with each other is broken. Their eyes are opened, and they begin to understand. Every choice has consequences. This is where our journey begins. The journey to rebuild the relationship with God and to find home again. The garden provided man and woman's every need. Now, cast out of Eden, man must toil to work the ground from which he was made. Woman labors to bring forth children. All people will grow old and eventually die. You are dust, and to dust you shall return. Throughout the journey, every generation, every person can choose to mend the relationship that was broken or perpetuate the divide between humankind and God. One day, consumed by jealousy, Cain turns on his brother. Violence shatters the world. Where is your brother Abel? What have you done? Your brother's blood is crying out from the ground. With Cain's choice, the world spirals deeper into chaos. Wickedness grows generation after generation. Grieved to the heart, God will wash the earth with a great flood and begin anew. Come with me into the storm. Stay together and follow the path. We will meet again soon.
Okay, let's get out.
Go now. We must travel onward.
We're not gonna go over there. I know what it is. We are, obviously. Dude, stop looking nothing needed. Once we swap, there's literally nothing. Wait, what? Someone goes on this for life. Oh, you're gonna swap
The great flood has washed the earth clean, but the gap between God and humankind persists. In the 10 generations since Noah, humankind makes new gods to replace the God of their ancestors and develops an appetite for power. But rather than abandoning humanity, God reaches across the divide to an unlikely man, Abraham, and his wife, Sarah. Asks them to leave everything they know and travel far away. God makes a covenant with the childless Abraham, an unbreakable promise. Abraham trusts in God. God promises a land and descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky. And that through him, all families will be blessed. They leave their comfortable, familiar life behind and travel to the land of Canaan. They encounter many dangers as they travel through foreign lands. Where others worship many gods, Abraham chooses to remain faithful to God alone. With this covenant, Abraham and God create an unbreakable bond. They arrive in Canaan and thrive in their new home. As God promised, Abraham, now an elderly man, has 2 sons, Ishmael and Isaac. Both sons receive a blessing, but this journey follows Isaac. The God of Abraham becomes the God of his son, Isaac, and his son, Jacob, whom God renames Israel. The family tree now has its name. God promises to bless the world through his descendants. Israel has 12 sons, founders of the 12 tribes of Israel. But he favors one son over the others. Overcome by jealousy, the other brothers sell Joseph into slavery and he is taken to Egypt. But Joseph trusts in God. And with God's help, he is promoted to a place of power in Egypt. From there, he saves the land of Egypt from a terrible famine. But the same famine devastates Canaan. Joseph forgives his brothers and welcomes the family into Egypt. There, the 12 tribes of Israel grow for generations. Centuries later, the Egyptians forget what Joseph did for them and force the Israelites into slavery. Pharaoh commands that every newborn boy be thrown into the Nile and killed. The light of God's promise seems to have gone out. But one mother, desperate to save her son, makes a choice that becomes the salvation of Israel. Her baby is saved and adopted into Pharaoh's palace. That baby will grow into a humble man with a stutter named Moses. Despite his weaknesses, Moses puts his trust in God. This unlikely child from the river is called to challenge the gods of Egypt and bring the people home again.
Moses, I am the God of your ancestors, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I am sending you to rescue my people from Egypt.
Go now, past the burning bush. Find the door marked in red. We must move ahead to the last night of captivity in Egypt. Quickly.
The branches were real. They're gonna do something. Why would you touch it? I know something's
እቃ የጣለ ሰው አለ? አንዴ ሁላችሁ እቃ የጣለ ሰው አለ?
Step inside, Bavakasha. Gather round. Tonight, the families of Israel gather together on the verge of a transformation. But why is this night different from all other nights? After generations of slavery in Egypt, God saw their suffering and sent Moses to Pharaoh with a simple demand: let my people go. 9 times Moses stood before Pharaoh. 9 times Pharaoh refused to let them go. With each refusal, God sent a plague upon Egypt. Rivers turned to blood. Frogs and lice. Wild beasts trampled the ground. Pestilence and boils. Hail of ice and fire. Locust swarms. And darkness.
Don't do that, guys.
God tells Moses, I will bring one more plague upon Pharaoh and Egypt. Afterwards, he will let you go. Indeed, he will drive you away. Paint the doorpost with the blood of a lamb. Tonight, death will strike down all the firstborn of Egypt, but it will pass over the homes of the Israelites. Eat in haste with sandals on your feet and staffs in hand. But do not be afraid. We are safe in here, under God's protection. By morning, Pharaoh's eldest son is dead, and his resistance is broken. Overcome with grief, he finally relents and allows the Israelites to leave. Free at last. When the children ask, why is this night different from all other nights? Tell them it is the Passover of the Lord, and we remember how God rescued the people out of slavery. Let the Exodus begin.
Eh, baru itu saya kira. Baru itu. When they come and see like this kind of stuff, for them to have a
I'm gonna start your pleasure.
የሰው ይዞ የማን እንደሆነ ግን አላወቅም።
Make room for everyone. In the days when the judges ruled, there was no king in Israel. The tribes struggled to work together to embrace Torah. Calamities and invasions plagued them, but the quiet devotion of a foreign woman named Ruth shines like a beacon of hope. The journey begins during a famine with the family in Bethlehem. To survive, they flee to neighboring Moab, a foreign land with foreign gods. There, the sons marry Moabite women, and life goes on, until one day the men of the family die. The mother, Naomi, finds herself alone. Facing an uncertain future, Naomi decides to return to Israel. She tells her daughters-in-law, "Go back to your mother's house, each of you. My lot is too bitter for you." One daughter-in-law, Ruth, makes a profound decision that will ripple through time. She declares, "Do not ask me to abandon you, for where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. Not even death can separate me from you." Ruth stays by Naomi's side, leaving her home, her family, and her gods forever. They arrive in Bethlehem. Ruth goes to work, gleaning in the barley fields, without stopping to rest. She works all day to provide for Naomi. Ruth's devotion personifies the heart of God's Torah. The field owner, Boaz, takes notice. He tells her, "May the Lord reward you for your deeds, and may you have a full reward from the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come for refuge." The seeds of Ruth's devotion come to harvest. She and Boaz marry and are blessed with a family of their own. Abraham's family tree grows a new branch, and Ruth the Moabite becomes part of the promise. That promise will carry the people as they struggle onward, until Ruth's great-grandson, David, becomes the king that Israel has longed for. And now, let us move ahead one last time.
I wish ሌሎቹን ሁሉ ሜን አይተው
It's been a long journey since God made the covenant with Abraham. God delivered the Torah through Moses, instructions to live as God's people. The tribes struggled to embrace it. The judges tried to hold Israel together while fighting off invasions. Finally, the Israelites confront the last judge, Samuel, and demand a king to govern them and fight their battles. So,
Samuel finds them a young shepherd from Bethlehem named David. The David who defeated Goliath, the king who finally unifies the 12 tribes into one nation with Jerusalem at its heart. God makes a covenant with David. Your son shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. But, like the people he leads, David isn't perfect. He covets another man's wife. David arranges the death of her husband and claims the beautiful Bathsheba for himself. God sends a prophet to call the king to conscience. Israel's king must be more than a political or military leader. He must be a righteous man. Now David demonstrates a new kind of leadership. He confesses his crime and begs God for forgiveness with all his heart. David's son Solomon builds the temple in Jerusalem. For a moment, it seems that everything God promised has come to pass. But the unity doesn't last. The kings after Solomon pull the people back and forth. One follows Torah, the next rejects it. Eventually, the kingdom fractures in two and clashes in civil war. Weakened by their division, Israel falls to Assyria and Babylon invades Judah. Jerusalem, David's city, burned to the ground. Solomon's temple, destroyed. The Israelites forced into exile. It seemed like the end. But the prophets kept speaking of God's mercy and the coming restoration of Israel. They still have the Torah, the source of strength, the source of hope. The conquering Babylonians were themselves conquered by Persia, and soon the exile was over. Many Jews returned to rebuild the land and the temple. The families gathered and asked me, Ezra the scribe, to read from the Torah, to tell them again of the covenant promise and the journey home. In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was a formless void, and darkness covered the face of the deep, while a wind from God swept over the face of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light."